DCI Finals locations. Now, most people know it just as Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. And whilst that's a great place to hold DCI Finals, or is it? DCI Finals has actually been held in 21 different sites over the years. What we're going to do in today's video, have a look at those sites, and we're going to rate them. And we're going to rate them using DCI's own rulebook. So sit back, enjoy. Here we go. So welcome back to the channel, and thank you so much for joining us today. Yes, we're going to look at DCI Finals locations. A lot of people think that we've only ever been to Lucas Oil, and that's not the case. DCI Finals over the years has actually been held in 21 different stadiums, and what we're going to do today is look at those and rank them, and we're going to use DCI's own method of ranking, and that is, of course, the box system. So box 5 is going to be a definitely have finals there again category. Box 4 is, could we have finals there again? Yeah. Good enough stadium, if you will. Box 3 is, it was all right. Box 2 is below average, and box 1 is Jackson, Mississippi. And whoops, I gave it away already. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? Right, so then 1972 and 1973, the initial DCI World Championships in 1972, found us in Whitewater, Wisconsin at what was then Warhawk Stadium, which looked like that. Let's make that a bit bigger here. There we go. So yeah, the stadium itself didn't look much different then than it does now. Obviously, it's got a bit of a facelift and a little bit brighter colors, and everything these days is better than it was back when the world was black and white. But in 1972, we did find ourselves there, and we crowned our first DCI World Championship to the Anaheim Kingsmen. The stadium itself, it's okay. I mean, I would say that this is realistically, it's a Division FCS or whatever Division II NCAA stadium, or maybe even a good high school stadium. Would we hold DCI Finals there again? No, of course we wouldn't. Could we hold a regional show there? Probably not a regional championship. There's nothing to say that we couldn't have a Wednesday night show there. So for that reason, I'm not going to bag on this stadium. It's got too much historical significance for us to do so. But I can't realistically go any higher than probably about box 2 for Whitewater. Moving on, 1974. I can't pronounce the name of this, but I'm going to have a go. Skolkopp Field in Ithaca, New York, the home of Ithaca Cornell University, which looked something like that. I don't know why these aren't opening in full screen. Anyway, there we go. So yeah, Cornell. As stadiums go, it's a stadium. It's got a running track, which is automatically going to deduct points from me. No real amenities to speak of. Nothing that's jumping out about this stadium that makes me want to go there. Do I want to put put my wife and kids in the car for a trip out to DCI Finals in Ithaca? Probably not, if I'm brutally honest with you. So was it okay? Yeah, same boat as Whitewater, really. I think we're looking at a box 2 for Ithaca. Now we're going to start moving on into some bigger stadiums. DCI has established itself. It's the big time, and we need bigger stadiums. So in 1975 and 1976, we moved to the big city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and found ourselves at Franklin Field, which, why isn't this opening in full screen? I don't know. Anyway, we're going to have to just roll with it. So Franklin Field, we've got 2 tiers. That's good. We got a running track. That's not so good. We're penned in by a lot of urban development, which of course adds sorts of problems with things like parking and access, as well as places for cores to warm up and so on and so forth. So could we hold DCI finals there again? No, we absolutely could not. Should we hold DCI finals again? No, we absolutely shouldn't. There's nothing about this stadium that's particularly jumping out at me. Lots of issues, like I said, running track, lots of dead space in the end zones as well, so lots of places for sound to escape. And in addition to that, being an old stadium with an upper deck, we're going to have support columns, which of course add for obstructed view seating. So for that reason, again, we're going to go a low box 2 for Philadelphia. 77 and 78, we found ourselves out west at the old Mile High Stadium. And this is the first stadium on this list that I've actually performed in. So I used to do Drums Along the Rockies here back in the 80s and 90s. And I always liked Mile High. It was a pretty cool stadium. It was the first stadium that we went to on tour where we felt, wow, we're in the big time. We're in a big time stadium. Could you hold DCI finals there again? No, because it doesn't exist. It's been knocked down. Should you? I'd say Denver, yeah, but obviously this stadium's not there. It was a cool stadium. I remember the seating basically seemed to go a mile high. I also remember getting to the end of our opener and just being absolutely out of gas because 5,280 feet is nothing to mess around with when it comes to elevation. That being said, though, cool stadium, big parking lot, lots of places to park. It's right next to the Interstate 70, so easy access in and out. Denver is a cool place to go. There's lots of stuff to do in Denver other than drum corps. And if we're going to DCI finals for a week, it's probably our family vacation, and we want to find other stuff to do there as well. So for that reason, I'm going to go a high box 3, I think is where we're going to go for the old Mile High Stadium. You got to be pretty special to get up into box 4 and 5 on this list. So moving on, 1979 and 1980, we found ourselves in the Deep South in Birmingham, Alabama, at Legion Field in Birmingham. Now, Legion Field, I've actually performed in this stadium as well. And I performed in this stadium when it was in this configuration. This just shows how old I am, where it still had an upper deck. And I got to say, this place was a dump. It was a dump back in 1992 when we did a show there. And it was a bigger dump in 1979 and 1980. Other problems with this stadium, outside of the fact that it's all wooden bleachers, and you know, so your options were either metal bleachers or wooden bleachers. So you either burn your ass or you get splinters in it. Outside of that, though, the stadium itself was in a pretty rough part of Birmingham. So, and then of course there was the playing field, or the field, or the stage, or whatever we want to call it these days. That AstroTurf was basically laid right over the top of concrete. So it would, in the summertime, it would melt your shoes and destroy your shins. So for that reason, Legion Field in Birmingham, it's flirting with box 1, if I'm honest with you. In fact, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go box 1 with Legion. I wouldn't be sad if I never had to step foot in there again. Moving on, 1982, we now find ourselves in Montreal. And 81 and 82, I'm sorry, we find ourselves in Montreal, Canada, at the Stade Olympique, or the Olympic Stadium. And strangely enough, I have a lot of a soft spot for this stadium, even though I shouldn't, because it ticks a lot of the wrong boxes. It's not made for football. It's not made for any specific sport. It was actually made for the Olympics. So you've got weird sight lines, you've got weird angles, you've got the crowd. Mind you, this is the back stands, but you can see the back stands are a full 30 yards off the back sideline, and the front stands weren't that much closer. The AstroTurf Stadium, again, and again, we can see we've got remnants of the baseball stadium in here as well, which of course adds all sorts of hazards there as well. That being said, it's got the GMC Astro RV in the back, and that automatically is going to give it some points. That being said, though, Drum Corps International is just that. It's international, and this is the first time that we had DCI finals outside of the United States, which I think had we carried on doing that, we might still have more Canadian corps today, but we don't. We don't. The stadium itself is still there, I believe. But I can't in good conscience go any higher than box 3 with this one. And I do think that's about where we're going to go. I'll go box 3 below. No, I'll go box 3 above Old Mile High, just because I think we need to put more of the I in DCI. Moving on, 1983, and we find ourselves in, I clicked the wrong one, sorry. 1983, we find ourselves in the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. So the Orange Bowl. Yeah, let's talk about the Orange Bowl. So I said the same. I'll say the same thing about the Orange Bowl that I'll say about Legion Field. It was in the not nicest part of Miami. In fact, I would go so far as to say it was in the straight up hood. I don't know what Hialeah Gardens is like now, but back then it was rough as a bear's ass. I've heard stories coming out of Miami from a good friend of mine, Mike Grogan, told these stories years ago. If you happen to be watching, Mike, hello. I hope you're well. About just the locals harassing the corps as they were going in and out of the stadium. So much so that like corps were having to go in with a police escort. I believe it was the Boston Crusaders actually almost got into a gang fight there. So back then, of course, the Boston Crusaders was basically a gang as well. So I would have felt sorry for the local Miami gangs if they'd tangled with the Boston Crusaders contrabase section. That being said, the stadium itself, it was a NFL stadium. It was also a high-level college football stadium, and that the Miami Hurricanes played there as well. So to that end, really good amenities there, really good sight lines. It was designed for putting on big shows. The stadium staff was used to putting on big shows. So could we have DCI finals there again? No, thank God, because the place has been torn down. It's now where the Miami Marlins play baseball, which means thank God we can't go back there. And should we go back there? Absolutely not. But that being said, it was a big time stadium for its day. Where would I put it? Probably put it there. Yeah, go there. Box 4 and 5 still empty. Moving on. 1984, we found ourselves in Atlanta, Georgia, at what was then, or what is now, Bobby Dodd Stadium, but back then was called, bear with me one second, Grant Field in Atlanta. So Grant Field in Atlanta looked pretty much like this back then. Make that bigger for you. There you go. In fact, we'll make the whole thing bigger. There we go. That's better. All right. Negatives, running track automatically knocks it down a peg. That being said, stadium's still there in a half decent part of Atlanta. A lot of history in that stadium. Big connection between that and the spirit of Atlanta. So I would say Atlanta very much is a drum corps town. We had really good crowds for that year, and that was also where really we had the breakthrough of the Garfield Cadets as well. So a lot of history in the stadium. Big time stadium, big time college football stadium. Again, they're geared up for putting on big events. So could we go back there and have DCI finals? Yes, we could. Should we go back there and have DCI finals? No, probably not, but we could, and I think it would be just fine. So I've got to knock points off for the running track, but I do believe the running track is not there anymore. So for that reason, I gotta grade them for where they were then. So I will go there at the top of box 3. That might move into box 4, but yeah, we'll go top of box 3. And now we move on to what I like to think of pretty much as Mecca. I'm on that field somewhere in that group there, I believe. I believe that's us there, is it? Yeah, no, it's not. Where are we? Anyway, I'm on that field somewhere. Oh yeah, that's us there. Yeah, so Camp Randall Stadium, Madison, Wisconsin. Mecca is what this is. This is, in my opinion, drum corps Mecca, and I don't think they make drum corps stadiums or drum corps crowds any better than this. There you go, I said it. DCI Finals were held there 85, 86, and 87. And then we went back there again in 92, 99, 02, and 06. So we've had, 7 DCI Finals have been held there. Great stadium, big stadium with really big crowds and proper drum corps crowds as well. The lots, I think Camp Randall is where lots really first started. You know, the warm-up sections were really cool. Madison itself is a cool town. It's a drum corps town. They put out the red carpet for DCI. Yeah, I can't fault it. Great stadium, big time college stadium, so lots of amenities. Downsides really was probably parking, but I didn't drive. I took the bus there. I was on the field, so I can't really comment on that. Where would I put it? Well, this may come as no surprise to you, but there we go. Box 5, no questions asked, in my opinion. Okay, moving on. 1988 and 1989. We went to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. And I got to tell you, this was a fantastic stadium. It was almost like it was just built to host DCI Finals. Huge, huge, huge parking lot, loads of places to warm up, right next to the interstate. Great location. The stadium itself, easily, as far as all the stadiums I've performed in over the years, Arrowhead Stadium, without a shadow of a doubt, was the best acoustics I've ever experienced. It's no surprise to me that the Kansas City Chiefs fans, by the way, I hate the Chiefs. I'm a 49ers fan, but I do like their stadium. It's no surprise to me that the Chiefs have the loudest fan base every year because the stadium is actually built to hold in noise. Open air, which is how drum corps should be, in my opinion. I've got absolutely nothing negative to say about this stadium. Only negative thing I'd say is that Kansas City in August can be pretty brutal weather-wise. The heat can be pretty oppressive. The thunderstorms can be pretty oppressive. And my God, the size of the bugs there was just unbelievable. But that being said, I can't put this anywhere other than Box 5. That's a Box 5 stadium every day of the week, in my opinion. All right, moving on. 1990, and we found ourselves in Rich Stadium in Buffalo, New York. Now you'll notice I've got Buffalo on here twice because we were in Rich Stadium and then we were in Ralph Wilson Stadium. And between Rich and Ralph Wilson, there was quite a bit of renovation to the stadium. So hence the reason I've got Buffalo on here twice. And you'll also notice I've got Boston on here twice as well, but I'll get to that in a second. Rich Stadium. It was okay. It was a good stadium. Stadium's still there under the guise of Highmark Stadium now, although it's soon to be No Mark Stadium because it's getting ready to be torn down. Buffalo is getting ready to go play football inside. Boo. But it is what it is. That being said, stadium itself was fine, which really was no surprise because I believe it was the same architects that did this stadium that also did Arrowhead Stadium. I didn't like Buffalo myself because we as a corps got pretty hardcore screwed there. That's a whole separate video. That being said, we're here to talk about the stadium. Stadium's fine. NFL stadium, so you'd expect that it's going to have good amenities, good parking, reasonably good access. Only negative I'd really say is Buffalo is not exactly a an easy place to get in and out of. But Buffalo can't help being Buffalo. Where would I put this on our tier system? Solid Box 4, in my opinion. Could you hold DCI Finals there? Yes, you could. You better hurry because you're getting ready to get knocked down. But, yeah, Box 4. Okay, and now the year is 1991. And in 1991, we find ourselves in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. Um, I have really good memories of the Cotton Bowl. I aged out in '92, so it wasn't my final year, but I was getting there and I was starting to appreciate things a little bit more. I really enjoyed the Cotton Bowl. It was an old rickety stadium then. It's an even older rickety stadium now. It had its faults. Obviously, we're an old stadium. We have an upper deck, and that of course means that we do have support columns, which means of course uh, disturbed sight lines. But take all that away, just had a really good atmosphere, the Cotton Bowl did. Downsides to the Cotton Bowl, it was in a rough part of Dallas, but it was also in the state fair, which meant there was lots of stuff to do there other than drum corps. Dallas itself is a big city as well with lots of stuff to do other than drum corps. You could make Dallas a destination for a week and have it include drum corps and have a great family vacation there. Uh, should we hold DCI finals again at the Cotton Bowl? Absolutely not. The place is falling apart. That being said, should we hold it in Dallas? I'd say yeah, absolutely. It's a very very good city for hosting drum corps. So where would this one sit in our tiers? Well, bearing in mind we've got an old stadium. It did have its infrastructure issues. I'm going to go. You know what? I just think it had a really good vibe. I'm going to go top of box 3. That's where I'm going to go with this one. Um, I was tempted to put it up here, but I think this is where it belongs. So box 3 for the Cotton Bowl. Right. Let's get to it, folks. And let's really just make this nice and big so we can mess with everybody's PTSD. This dump right here. There it is. There.
What a dump. Hey, what's that from? What a dump.
That dump. Jackson, Mississippi. The year is 1993. And somehow DCI Finals ended up in this hellhole. And that's exactly what it is. The whole place was a dump. The city was, I'm sorry, if you're from Jackson, Mississippi, hit the dislike button now if you like, but I'm sorry, but the whole place was a dump. The stadium was a dump. The city was a dump. The stadium looked exactly like this in 1993 as well. How DCI Finals ended up there, I don't think anybody knows to this day. Had to be a brown envelope job. That's all I can think. What can I say good about Jackson? Well, I mean, the trees were green around it, I suppose. That's pretty much it. It was rainy, it was hot, it was humid, bugs the size of small birds. Yeah, no, oh God, I'd aged out, but I went there as a staff member slash I was a volunteer, so I don't know what you call it, but I went there as a non-performer and I couldn't wait to get home. So yeah, that's Jackson. So I don't think you're going to be at all surprised when I say, hey Jackson, welcome to box 1 and welcome to the very bottom of box 1 as well. I don't think it gets any worse. Should we hold finals there again? No. We should never even go to the state of Mississippi, in my opinion. And that's that. So let's quickly move on. 1994, we righted the ship and we went to Foxborough, Massachusetts, home of the New England Patriots, not to be mistaken with Gillette, which was a different stadium. This is the old stadium, the former home of the New England Patriots. Boston, Massachusetts, great place to go in the summertime. Lots of stuff to do, lots of history to be found in the area. The stadium itself was fine. Was it the greatest stadium in the world? No, it wasn't. But it was an NFL stadium, so parking is going to be ample. Facilities in the stadium are going to be ample. We didn't have disturbed sight lines or blocked views. Not a lot bad to say about the stadium. Should we hold finals there again? Boston, yes. This stadium, no, because this stadium's gone. Will we hold finals again in Boston? Probably not. Actually, I'll say, should we hold finals in Boston? No, I would say no. I think finals should always be held in the Midwest, just to make it equitable for all the corps involved that have to travel. Boston is a pretty big haul to go to if you're a West Coast corps. So that being said, where are we going to rank it? Well, I might surprise you, and I think with Foxborough, I may go. No, I can't do it. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there. Yeah, that looks about right. No, we'll go there. Yeah, that's where we're gonna go. Top of box 3. Yeah, it was okay, is what I'll say. It was the top end of okay. Right, moving on. We're at 1996 is the next new stadium we went to. So we've got the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida, which looked like this. So yeah, I thought the stadium was perfectly fine. We did it. We didn't have bleachers. We did have backed seats, although they were still metal bleachers, which in Florida in August can be pretty brutal. But it's Orlando, so it's the vacation capital of America. It's definitely a box 5 there. Negatives about the stadium: it is right next to water, which in Florida means you got alligators, which means we're lucky no performers got eaten alive going in. But eaten alive by the alligators is the least of your worries when you think about the mosquitoes that were there as well. Outside of that, the stadium was fine. I'm actually going to go box 4 on the Citrus Bowl. Should we have finals there again? Why not? Could we have finals there again? Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go box 4. I think the stadium is still standing. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know it was renovated a few years ago. So yeah, that's where I'm going to go. The Citrus Bowl right there. Next new stadium after the Citrus Bowl was in the year 2000, and we went to Byrd Stadium on the campus of the University of Maryland. Couple of things I didn't like about the stadium is again, we had a lack of parking. Getting to it wasn't the easiest thing in the world. And the stadium itself is fine. Again, we've got bleachers, and these are bleachers which are basically just on concrete slabs. Not the most comfortable stadium in the world. The big problem that I had with this stadium was actually something that's going to sound really small. It's the lighting. Go back and watch any videos from the year 2000. Everybody looks like they're performing in a half-lit stadium because the place was just not very well lit. So for that reason, I can't really go much higher than middle of the road box 3 with this one. So I'm going to go there, just above Montreal. Should we go back? No. Will we go back? I hope not. Yeah, so that's where I'm going to go with that one. Quickly moving on. 2001, we found ourselves back in Buffalo. However, this time we were at Ralph Wilson Stadium. So Rich Stadium has had a facelift at this point. Negatives, it's still in Buffalo, which means it's not the easiest place in the world to get to. But the stadium was much improved. They did a lot of renovations. Not so much in the seating areas, but more so in the concessions and the concourses. But again, we had the same situation of lots of places to warm up, decent places for core housing, and also from a vacation standpoint, yeah, somewhere you could bring the family to. Niagara Falls isn't very far away. Canada's not far away. Has a lot of positives going to it. Could we hold DCI Finals there again? Yes, we absolutely could. Will we? No. Even if we could, we better hurry because they're getting ready to knock this thing down now. So I'm going to possibly surprise you here. And whereas I put Rich Stadium there, I'm actually going to I'm going to go bottom of box 5. It's a DCI championship caliber stadium. No, I can't do it. Buffalo still holds bad memories for me, so I'm going to go box 4. Sorry. If they hadn't screwed us over, I'd have probably gone box 5. No, box 4. Box 4 is where we're going to go with that. So that's that one. Next up, as far as new stadiums we went to, was 2004, and we find ourselves back in Denver for the first time since 1978. Denver, Colorado, and the new Invesco Stadium at Mile High. And this was a new stadium at this point. In fact, I think DCI was one of the first events that was held in there. As I recall, I think DCI was in there before the Broncos were. Anyway, sits on the same footprint as the old Mile High, so we have all the positives of the old Mile High as far as plenty of places to warm up, plenty of parking, easily accessible to Interstate 70. Nice, easy place to get to. Colorado is a reasonably inexpensive state. Again, lots of stuff to do in Denver outside of DCI. So where would I go with this one on the rankings? Well, I think that this is going to go up here. Should we hold DCI Finals again there? Why not? Could we? Absolutely. It's certainly a DCI Finals caliber stadium every day of the week. So I'll go box 5 with that one there. Bottom end of box 5. So next up, after the next new stadium we went to was in 2005. And welcome back to Boston. But this time, welcome to Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. So Gillette Stadium is the new stadium, or not new now, but you know what I mean. It was new then. Home of the New England Patriots. Lots of good DCI memories in this stadium. I think one of the coolest ones was Vanguard doing a rendition of "Send in the Clowns" underneath the arch during a thunderstorm. As far as facilities are concerned, absolutely top notch. Again, the downside, Boston being, is that it is extreme East Coast. Again, I think that DCI Finals should be held in the Midwest, just to give everybody a bit of an equitable crack at it financially. But could we hold DCI Finals there again? Yes, absolutely we could. Should we? I don't think so, but could we? Yes, absolutely. So where do I put it? Again, New England's pretty expensive. It's an expensive place for a family to go on holiday these days. So for that reason, I'm going to go top of box 4 for Gillette. Right, moving on. 2007 was the next new stadium we went into. And welcome to Los Angeles, Pasadena specifically, and welcome to the Rose Bowl. And this is the ranking that I think many people may find a bit shocking. And I don't think we should have ever held DCI Finals there. I don't think we should hold DCI Finals in California on the West Coast any more than I think we should hold it in the extreme East Coast either. But that being said, let's take that argument and put it away for a second, and let's just look at the stadium itself. And I don't think this is a DCI Finals stadium by any stretch of the imagination. We've got a very low rake to the stadium, which means that if you're in the cheap seats, you're nearly 100 yards from the front sideline. From there to there is about the same distance from there to there. And you're not very high up as well. The stadium itself, I think, is just too big. It's got no acoustic quality to it at all. LA is very expensive to go on a vacation to. I was saying holiday because I live in the UK. See, yeah, it's a very expensive destination. Outside of that, the stadium itself, I just don't think is that good. It's big, it's historic, and that's about the best I can say about it. So where would I put this? This is the bit that's probably going to shock you. I'm going box 1. I don't think we could hold DCI Finals there again, nor do I think we should. I think it was a mistake. I think if we were looking to have a DCI Finals out west somewhere, and if we're absolutely insistent upon having it on the West Coast, I'd have gone with Seattle and Lumen Field or something like that, even though I hate the Seahawks. Again, it's a bit of travel, but again, I think that DCI should be kept to the middle of the country. Yeah. So after the Rose Bowl, we were supposed to go to Lucas. However, Lucas Stadium wasn't ready. Lucas Oil Stadium wasn't ready. And DCI found themselves in 2008 in a bit of a pickle in that they needed to find somewhere quickly for DCI Finals. And that answer was Memorial Stadium at the University of Indiana in Bloomington. Now, this stadium, I've got a bit of a memory with because we did have a DCI preview of champions here. Or was it Mid-America? I can't remember. It was one of the big regionals. And I remember when we came into this stadium, it was 92, I think it was. And I remember looking up at this wall of humanity because the stadium just goes straight up and down. Compare that distance there to the front sidelines as to the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl, you just basically got that whole thing laid down. So those people in the cheap seats were still relatively close to the front sideline, and they got blasted by the cores, and the cores just got it right back from their stands as well. You notice as well those front seats are right on the front sideline, but they're also raised up a bit as well. So even if you're in these seats, they're still not half bad. Parking was reasonable. They let the cores use the field house for warm-ups, which was very helpful. It's a Big Ten stadium, so they're used to holding big events there. Which means we're going to have decent concessions. I think that DCI absolutely hit it out of the park with Memorial Stadium, and I've been gutted ever since then that we've never been back. So for that reason, welcome to Box 5. In fact, I'm going to go Box 5. I'm going to go Box 5 above Arrowhead. Yeah. Should we hold DCI Finals there again? Yes, I think we should. Could we? Absolutely. So I can't in good conscience put anything above Camp Randall, but I'm going to put Bloomington as a very close second. Which leads us finally to where we're at today, and that is, of course, the Oil Can Lucas Oil Stadium. So, did you know that the roof at Lucas Oil Stadium actually does open? You wouldn't know that because DCI's never had it open. And for that reason, I cannot put this stadium in Box 5. I don't think DCI belongs in a dome, full stop. End of discussion. That's my opinion. It's my channel. If you don't like it, start your own channel. Or, better yet, let us know in the comments below why I'm wrong. But yeah, I don't think DCI belongs indoors. When you listen to those pirated recordings that you see people take from the stands, you can hear what it really sounds like in there, and the echo's horrific. Yeah, we've got the windows at the front, and it's a cool place. Now, that being said, I can't completely shit all over it because the city of Indianapolis has bent over backwards for DCI and the marching arts. You've got DCI championships there. You got Bands of America championships there, and I think it's probably just a matter of time before they woo WGI away from Akron. It's a city that's really, really big on the marching arts. In addition to that, a big part of the Indianapolis economy is conventions and events. So for that reason, this city is geared up to host events like this. So so where do I put this stadium? My heart says Box 4. My heart says Box 3 because I don't like drum corps indoors, but my head says it's got to go up here. But I'm putting it right at the very end of Box 5. I can't go any higher than that. And I think that any of these stadiums could actually jump Indianapolis. But there you go. That is where I've ranked them. So overall, I think we could say that the majority of DCI finals have been held at pretty reasonably decent locations. Yeah, down here, but those are all quite old with the exception of one. So there you go. So yeah, so that's my opinion. Tell us in the comments below what you think. And while you're down there, if you would be so kind, if you're one of the 64% of people that watch our videos that aren't actually subscribed, hit the subscribe button. It really helps us out a ton. It gets our content out. It helps us out with the algorithm. Look, you've heard all this crap before. if you like what we do, we'd really appreciate if you hit the like button. Feel free to buy a t-shirt while you're down there as well. But yeah, let me hear your thoughts. Do you think I got the tiers right? Do you think I got them wrong? What would you change and why? Let us know down below. As for a little bit of housekeeping for the channel, the podcast, we are recording the podcast next weekend, which we're looking to release a Christmas podcast just before Christmas, hopefully. And for those of you that celebrate Hanukkah, I believe that is getting ready to start if it hasn't already. So if that's the case, happy Hanukkah to you and yours. And we will see you again just before Christmas with the Christmas podcast. So in the meantime, no matter who you're doing it with, no matter where you're doing it, no matter how you're doing it, no matter when you're doing it, just when you're doing it, make sure that you march on. Ciao.